Welcome to Love and Health Talk, the podcast where we explore two vital aspects of our lives, love and health. I'm Anabell, a therapist and relationship coach.
And I'm Laura, a health and wellness expert. Join us as we delve into topics related to relationships and well-being.
We'll provide practical tips and insights on nurturing, thriving connections.
And we will discuss various aspects of health.
Tune in for expert advice and actionable strategies to enhance your love life and well-being.
Love and Health Talk, where love and health meet for a fulfilling life.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
So I just learned that Laura over here, she's got like 6 tattoos. Like, what?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, everyone
Like, on your arm?
I have 3 on my arm, I have on my leg, I have on my chest. Like, I have tattoos.
I've never seen them before.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, you're not just showing.
I don't know.
What are your tattoos?
Like, I have 6 different tattoos. Like, I'll show you later. But
Okay.
yeah, I have 2 here on my leg.
Yeah, but what are they? Like,
I have
is it like symbols, characters, quotes?
They're pretty big. They're pretty big. Like, this one here is like this. So I'll show you. But
Yo, I'm blown away. I'm like, what? I've actually wanted a tattoo.
no
I don't know
one
what
believes in that. When I say, like, because when I go to the office, when I talk at the expos and the conferences, like, you always dress professional,
Yeah.
And I was with like this kind of sleeve shirt. There was like white shirt, and I was showing for my clients something, and I like put my hand like this, and she saw the tattoo, and she's like, I would never
Same.
say that you have a tattoo. And I met my friend. I met her for, I don't know, like 20th time or something, but we usually met in like different environments,
Yeah.
And she saw my tattoos for the first time, and she's like, what?
I'm like blown away. I would have never ever guessed.
Yeah, I have tattoos.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't match with me with
Honestly,
the things that I know.
So, like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Andrew Huberman. He actually talked, like, he's fully tatted. He's a neuroscientist, has his own lab, like,
Absolutely.
and he talked about, he's like, I always wear long sleeves when I go on any podcast
Same.
interviews or I'm out in public, just because he's like, I just want to keep that sense of professionalism. So, like, I admire that. I love that. And that's something else I've been thinking about too, is I do want a tattoo. I don't know what of yet. And if I did, I would want it here. Like, I would want it right here. But I also thought about, like, do I need to cover it when I'm in public settings, right? When I'm in professional
It's up to
settings.
like, it's our belief system by the end of the day.
Yeah.
No one cares. If you are a good professional, I don't care if you have a tattoo.
Yeah.
How that goes along with your knowledge.
It's part of your personality.
Yeah, it's part of my personality, and everyone has different roles in life, I think. Like, you can be a doctor in your clinic, you can see patients, you can talk in conferences, expos, you can study PhD as I do, but I can still have tattoos,
No,
Like,
that's
I'm
so dope.
different, like in every environment.
Yeah.
So, and I love them. I totally love them. No regrets.
Yeah. And this is a good segue as we're talking about your body and the tattoos that you put on your body. We want to talk today about the mind and body connection. Because I really believe nowadays you're hearing more of it, of how important it is to have that mind and body connection. But in the past, I really believe that people think that it's separate. Like, we have treated the mind just on its own, and we've treated the body completely on its own. And something that's really important for both of us is that we understand both. And how do we integrate the idea of understanding what these mental challenges are with also understanding like the disconnection that we're having with our own self and our own bodies.
Absolutely. Right? And we talk, as you said, like, we hear about that more and more and more. But how can we integrate that? That's the question that people ask. That's the question that people have, because I know both matters, but what can I do with that? So I think that we can start and talk about, how do you integrate in your practice? Like, how do you integrate mind and body for your clients? How do you help them to find the embodiment,
Yeah. So a big part of where I like to always start is first even understanding if you even know how to, like, so a question that I always ask my clients is, how do you know you're feeling anxious? How do you know? Right?
And they
Because
start naming physical symptoms, probably like body
Yes.
symptoms.
well, my heart is always
Mhm.
racing, my stomach feels like there's like this pit in my stomach, my hands get sweaty, things like that. They start naming bodily sensations.
Yes.
And for a very long time, at least when I would see clients in my therapeutic practice, we wouldn't talk about body sensations at all. People would talk about their feelings and why they felt that way,
So
and
good, like you.
giving an explanation
Yeah.
about it. But when I ask them to check in, that they're like very unclear about that.
Yeah.
Right. And so the way I start to make that connection is I really start to get people to think about what is coming up for them in their bodies. And the really cool thing about that is that once you start, it actually becomes the starting point for really regulating.
And you
your
can
emotions.
create a very good habit to find and ask yourself a question: how do I feel and where do I feel it?
Yeah. And I'm going to share something and you can kind of share the
Sure.
science behind this. So something that I learned is that when we have an emotion, it doesn't pass through the cognitive part first. It passes through the amygdala. And so think about it this way, right? You're approaching a person or you're approaching a situation. Your mind, like the processing that your mind goes through, is actually secondary to what your body perceives this.
Absolutely.
And this is part of the fight or flight system. And I'll let you kind of explain the neuroscience of that, of like fight or flight, and how we internalize sensations first before the like thought process.
Because first of all, there's an instinct for the body to be safe. It's an instinct level. So that's why we feel emotions first. Okay, am I safe? Am I afraid? What's going on? So that's why emotions are the thing that we feel first, and then if the instinct level is okay, I can live here, then we go to mind process, mental thoughts and stuff like that. But there's other part. There's the thing that emotions are related with the meaning that we provide for them. Because if it doesn't mean anything for me, I'm not going to feel sad about that. I'm not going to grieve that. I'm not going to be happy about that if it doesn't matter to me. So that's why mind and body connections, as we talked in previous episode too, we cannot separate that.
Right.
Even if it's different processes going on in the body. And it's going so quickly that we are not able to understand what happened first, Did I first felt this way, or did I thought about that first?
Yeah.
Because everything happens in a million nanoseconds, we are not able to even measure that. We are in the laboratory, but on the daily basis, we are not able to measure that.
Yeah.
So as you said, like, it's a different process. Emotions and mind, it's totally different thing. And emotions is something that we call, like, in the holistic medicine, they call it vital body. Vitality comes from there. This is vital. We have to have emotions. We have to feel them. We have to have it. And it has a huge impact on the body. And then the meaning comes in. So for example, I see a thing that I really don't like. Like, it means like, okay, I will take another example that's going to be easier to understand. If I feel headache, I'm not feeling good, I have a headache. The meaning I provide to that headache kind of says everything. I can think that, okay, probably I didn't have enough water. Then what I will do, I will drink some water.
Yeah.
Another part of me can be like, oh my God, I have to Google it, might be brain cancer. We have a lot of people like that. That's okay. Then your emotions, your body is changing. You put your body into that like scary mode, I'm afraid. And then I'm going to approach absolutely differently. So fight or flight basically is, we have so many people stuck in fight or flight right now. And as you noted, I believe it was our in-person workshop when you told people that even if someone like touches you very light and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? That's a huge signal that your body has
huge sign.
Fight or flight for a while.
That's like a red flag. Like if you scare easily, or you
Yeah.
get startled easily, that means that your body is in a fight
It
or
was
flight system.
such a good
Yeah.
example. When I got scared, like my puppy just came from the back of me. Like I was taking stuff from the car and my
Yeah.
puppy came and I got so scared and I'm like, why? Like, you know, it's why should and then I started and I remember that you told that, okay, this is kind of sign. Like, yeah, I know that. But sometimes you have to have someone who tells you or reminds
Yeah.
you things. Sometimes to know the thing, you have to hear that enough times.
Absolutely. And also when you talked about like emotions, we make meaning out of emotions.
Yeah.
Though that meaning actually comes from a memory.
Yeah.
And experiences. We don't just create it in that moment. No, we actually either we learn it from the people that we grew up with, or we create it from a negative experience. And that's why, you know, I also talk about how when you're going through situations, and this is kind of where that mind and body connection really come through, like a smell, a touch, like your five senses, a smell, touch, like sound, right? Noise, anything that's visceral, you're gonna interpret it based on a past memory that you had. And if you don't understand the connection between that, it's really easy to make it about that thing and to almost blow it up. Like here, an example is, I always talk about how like if you've been in abusive or controlling relationships in the past, if you're now in a healthy one and you're like, why do I keep having these negative thoughts about this person? And if they ask you like, hey, you know, what did you do yesterday? And immediately, because in the past they would, you know, scold you or speak negative to you because you were out, you know, out and about. In that moment, your mind is going to immediately go to the past. And if you don't have that mind and body connection, you're going to take it at face value. And the reality is it's not face value. A lot of the things that we experience, they're not face value. And so when we learn to connect with our bodies and really understand like, wow, I'm having anxiety right now because in the past, that person used to get mad at me. They were super jealous. They were super controlling. If I can just connect with what I'm feeling in my body, the emotion will come down and the thinking will turn on and be like, oh, no, this person loves me. Like this person is not going to hurt me because I was out too late or I didn't tell them where I was. Right. And so, to kind of break that down even further, I like to, there's a representation that I make with my hand that makes it really easy to understand how emotions can take over the mental mind. And so I want you to think of this as your brain. This middle part or my thumb is the amygdala. This is where all of the emotion is. The top of the brain, which is our thinking brain, is my four fingers up here. When you go into a scary or a fearful kind of state, this drops and this becomes your brain. It's all emotion. And so if you learn to regulate that through the body,
such a beautiful example.
Yeah, you can use it. You can take it.
Thank you.
So that's why I like to call this the top brain and the bottom brain. Most of us are stuck in the bottom brain because of trauma, because of everything we've been through. And the bottom brain is so connected to the body. This is why we cannot heal trauma. We cannot heal anxiety or depression if you're never connecting with your body.
You have to connect, especially when we're talking about trauma, for example. And I'm talking right now about from more like quantum level, but because basically like we can have all the organs healthy. We can go and do MRI, X-ray, ultrasound. We can do blood work and everything is fine, you know, but when we're going a little bit deeper, because I remember I shared that, but actually like chemical level, like our blood work is measuring our chemistry. Like our and it's fourth stage of disease, disorder, whatever. But 3 stages before that are basically quantum, like quantum physics. Physics is the foundation of everything that happens in your chemistry. And then
what's quantum physics for people that might not know what that is?
Okay, let's say it this way. It's foundation. It's how the process going on that deep level that we're not able to see with our eyes.
So subconscious.
subconscious is related with that. We can definitely create an episode on that because I believe in this topic, I can talk about it forever.
Okay.
So we should keep that in mind. We will do that episode on subconscious mind and how is that related. But basically, like, quantum is where everything starts. Quantum is where your cells decides, like, okay, it's time for me to make a new cell. So what the cell does, it looks around, right? And I will make a cell with whatever I have around. So if I don't have enough something, or if I don't have something that I want to have, this is what I'm gonna make. So that's why we have so many people stuck on the same symptom every day, because that should be a signal for you. Something is not changing in your body. There is something that you didn't find that you have to change to be able to produce new healthy outcome, which means like your body would be able to produce new healthy cells. So the start is quantum physics. The first 3 stages of every disease, disorder, symptom happens on the quantum. And when we're talking about the trauma, we have a lot of people stuck, like a lot of traumas get stuck in our liver on that quantum level. And what liver does, like, you can go and do blood work, check your ferments, enzymes, whatever, all the digestion system, and everything's fine. But still, what liver does on the quantum level, like, there's some part of Eastern medicine here, but liver is related with our vision, with our skin disorder, with our nails health, with our insomnia, migraine, all kind of headaches. For example, when a lot of people saying, I keep waking up at 3 a.m. or something, that's connected. And trauma, also, if we're not healing liver fully, like on the quantum level, we feel frustration. What happens next? We don't heal it more and more and more. What happens? We have low-grade depression and anxiety. This is what happens because our body is not able to produce new and healthy cells. And how is mind and body connected? Every organ produces mental energy, and vice versa. Every mental energy affects organs. Like, everyone knows from Eastern medicine, that liver is related with the anger. But there's a good side. Liver is related with our faith, with our ability to plan things, to do things. That's why a lot of people who have trauma, like childhood trauma, really deep, severe trauma, they're not able to stick to the plan. They feel like scattered. They feel like ADHD, a lot of people say this right now. So this is what trauma does on that deeper level in our body.
And I love that you bring that up, because something that I forgot to mention was, if you're not addressing your trauma or any of your emotional, mental challenges, it will manifest physically.
Oh, absolutely.
And then people are coming to you, like you said, with liver problems, with digestion issues, with autoimmune diseases.
The cool thing. In my practice, depending on the frequencies, when we measure the photons flow and stuff like that, like, too much science, we don't have to dwell on that, but depending on frequency, I can see where it's coming from. Is it mental and emotional, like old trauma, or it's something physical going on? Because usually people think that, okay, I'm gonna go, she's gonna find a virus, bacteria, or something, I'm gonna have some medicine and we're good. Like, sometimes I'm able to tell that, okay, like, this is from your childhood problem, because the frequencies, everything that I'm seeing on that quantum level in your organs, it's mental. It's our approaches and stuff. So it's very important to understand that we have to understand that every thought, every pattern, especially everything that we think over and over and over again, that has an impact for our organs, and vice versa. If we're not having healthy organs, for example, we're going to talk about anxiety, right? Probably in the next episode, but it's related with our kidneys, for example. But if we do not have healthy organs, we're not able to heal that wound. So everything is related. That's why it's great if you find someone who can objectively measure and understand where to start in your specific case, because mind and body is always connected. And as you said, like, people can think that it's something mental, like, I still love brain health term more, but people keep telling that, okay, it's mental and that's it. But we sometimes not able to catch that the mental is showing up as a physical symptom. There's a very, very thin line in that. So it's hard to separate that. It is. But you have to, if you want to understand that, okay, what's actually, as you said, like, we have to ask ourselves questions.
And I think most people understand that there's physical symptoms that can come up because of mental, and there's mental symptoms that can come up because of physical, right? I think people can understand.
Nowadays, we're getting there for sure. More and
Understand
more
that,
people.
but I think where there's still a lack of understanding is how and why, right? Because we can understand, like, my foot is hurting, and my diabetes is really high, and I'm frequently irritable, and I'm having these different mood swings, right? And the freaking diabetes and my foot, right? Like all of these symptoms, people can get it. People can have a grasp on that. But why? Why
You
does
know,
that happen?
I can try to tell that very, very simply and very quick. Every time you have a thought, whatever kind of thought, that releases a lot of hormones in our body, right? Everything starts changing. Okay, this is the thought.
Yes.
I feel, for example, anxiety about that. You know, I'm anxious about this specific situation. Hormones in our body start changing, everything changing. Then these specific concentrations of hormones, specific concentrations of all the substances that we have in our body, they can have an effect on the organ, on part of your body and stuff like that. So that's why every thought releases a hormone. Every hormone has a huge impact on your health. It's on the simple way. Like, we have a lot of different steps there, but in the simple terms, it's very easy to understand, right? Like, I'm thinking about something, my body's changing.
Yeah.
This is how it works, because that creates emotion that kind of, okay, I think about, like, oh damn, I have this event coming up next week. I'm starting to feel anxious. Like, I'm starting self-doubting myself. Like, am I gonna do a good job? Like, how everything's gonna go? Our body, inside in our body, start changing.
Yeah.
It starts changing. And this specific concentration of hormones, some of my organs might not like that.
Yeah.
And then things start happening, like physical symptoms can manifest.
You know what's like mind blowing to me? That emotions, they don't age. And what I mean by that is, like, and again, this goes back to like the idea of memories, right? But like, the fact that somebody can feel some way about their childhood for 20, 30, 40 years, like, it never changes. Like, they have this resentment towards their abuser, or they have this hatred towards their mom because at one point they needed them to be there and the mom wasn't there, right? The mom was really absent. And it's mind-blowing that it doesn't matter how much time goes by. Like, if you don't ever process that physically, emotionally, it will be exactly the same, right? And it's kind of like that saying of, like, you know, if you keep doing the same thing, it's insidious, or what's that saying?
What fires together, that wires together, you know, like in the nervous system. Like, every time when you have the same thought, you're like, all your neurons like start firing together.
Yeah.
And then we have a network.
Yes.
And then to break it, it's hard.
It is hard, but
It's possible.
It's it's actually quickly possible.
Yeah, it's quickly possible.
Like, people think, oh, well, if I've had this trauma for 20 years, it's going to take me 20 years to heal it. Actually, no. Our body responds to changes fairly quickly. Is it easy? No. But does it respond to changes very quickly? Yes. Right. And kind of going back to that idea that trauma can last for just years and years and years, and it never changing unless you do something differently. I think also too, the biggest challenge with that is because it's been, like you said, because it's been there so long, it does feel harder to break, because it's now part of, like,
you're used to that.
It's just part of, like, your physical, like, instinct at that point.
That's totally true. And I think that talking about mind and body connection, which is very, very interesting and important for us to know, that we cannot, like, of course, if we treating our mind, we treating our mental, if we treating our physical body, we're gonna have an impact, but we always impact on other bodies.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. But we also have to always check in with ourselves, like, where am I in this? And you can always, like, even like kind of divide it. how am I feeling physically? How am I feeling emotionally? How am I feeling mentally? How am I feeling spiritually? You know, if I'm connected enough with everything. So mind and body connection is something that people talk more and more. I'm very happy about that because it's very, very important. But I believe that we kind of lacking on information how to reach that, like, you know, how to understand how is that related. So can you just tell a little bit how do you help for your clients, for example, to understand like where it's more like how can I step into my body when it feels like it's mine? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely a couple tools that I use to help clients like rebuild that sense of connection. But one of the biggest things that I teach is repetition. And
Repetition is a matter of skill, right?
repetition, because as like insignificant as that sounds, it makes the biggest difference. Like I often hear, I love that you touched on ADHD because I'm hearing that a lot. Like clients are coming to me and they're like, hey, I think I have ADHD. Can you diagnose me or can you test me? Right? Can you make this assessment? And a lot of the times what I'm noticing is that yes, they're ADHD symptoms,
But it's
but
a
it's not the full diagnosis.
Absolutely.
And even if it was, like, let's say you do have ADHD, I think when we think of ADHD, we see it as this very black and white thing of like you have it and there's no cure or you have to take medication for it,
no.
right? And the reality is that no, there is some cognitive dysfunction that is happening for you, and that is absolutely true. And
That's a symptom. That's it.
that is a symptom. If you have trouble focusing, if you feel like you do things out of impulse, if you can't concentrate, that is a lack of brain. Like you're lacking the ability to train your brain to focus, and that's a huge challenge for us nowadays because things are a lot faster. Technology has, I mean, we rely and depend on technology so much. There's this culture of like instant gratification where it's making it more difficult to have patience.
Absolutely.
To have a sense
Look
of
what
like,
we do, like when we driving, we scroll, you know,
yes,
it's crazy.
yes,
It's crazy, but because we kind of lacking of something all the time. We need more and more and more, faster, quicker.
yes,
And we get used to that.
and so something is constantly getting our attention.
Yeah.
And when we're focused on so many different things, we're not present.
A lot of stimulus around, so
And so a lack of like being present is a lack of like that mind and body connection. And so
totally agree with you.
something that I help clients do is like, how do we bring you back to a state of present so that you can have a sense of safety in your body to where you are connected? And what ends up happening a lot of times is to be present and to be still and to actually connect is really, really scary. Like
Absolutely.
being quiet, like having let's say you turned off all of the music, all of the noise, everything, and you just sat there for some
without
people, your phone, not doing anything, literally
Yeah.
just sitting there like you were meditating, right? That is the scariest thing for people. And I actually,
because then mind starts going.
and I actually would not recommend to do that right at the beginning. You actually have to present it in certain doses because your body is not used to being that
You have
still.
to learn everything step by step. You cannot,
Yes.
if you're not meditating at all, and then okay, I will try to do this hour-long meditation, you know, your mind can create a circus there.
No, that's like if you've never climbed in your life before,
Exactly.
and you're trying to climb the biggest mountain. Like, no, that's
Step
not
by
where we
step.
start. And so I typically start very slow and we do things daily. We're practicing it on a daily basis because like you said, those neurons that wire together, the more you do something, the easier it is for your brain to go, oh, this is safe. It's actually safe. It's actually safe to sit here for a little bit, quiet in the quietness, writing or journaling or whatever the case is, and connecting with myself. Like it's safe to do that. The other thing too about like the mind and body connection, if you didn't grow up with parents who attended to your needs, and emotionally connected with you, you don't have that skill. There's a lack of connection, right? And so as adults, meeting your own needs is one of the most, that's probably the biggest symptom that I see with people who have had child abuse, child neglect, their parents were absent, they were always working, they were never home.
Yeah.
They have the hardest time meeting their own needs. And what I mean by that is self-care, like actually knowing what you want, knowing how to care for yourself, being able to regulate
This
your
is where
emotions.
mind body connection starts.
100%. If you can say, you know what, I'm feeling really tired today. I probably need a nap, or maybe I need food. Or maybe, I've just been working a lot. I just want to take a break. Like, you being able to like coach yourself through that is you having a mind and body connection.
Absolutely.
But if you were never taught that, or you don't know how to do that,
And you
or
know
it
what,
feels
then
very foreign,
a lot of limiting beliefs comes up, like, how can I rest? Like I have to be productive 24/7. This is what we do right now.
Yeah. And that's the lack of regulation.
Absolutely.
That anxiety that comes up.
Everything is about, like, by the end of the day, everything is about the balance. Everything. We want to have optimal amount of rest, optimal amount of productivity. Everything has to be optimal. Like when people come to see me, like they look for kind of perfect health. And what is my goal? To be able to put you in that optimal health, which means you can eat a burger sometimes, you can have a glass of wine sometimes, and you're still gonna feel okay. Because people, like, we know if we're gonna eat super clean, if we're gonna meditate, do yoga, if we're gonna stretch, if we're just gonna focus on our like well-being, of course we're gonna feel way better. Absolutely. Like there's no questions in there. But then for some people, it's not that the lifestyle they want to live. And then what we have to do, we have to find a way how to make your health optimal, which means I can function in every environment with everything and still be okay.
But I think a better word, and maybe because I've heard it been just being overused and even generalized to a high degree, a better word instead of balance, for me, at least in the work that I do, is like safety. Because a lot of people don't know what balance is. They have such distorted views of like what is healthy and what is not healthy.
And what the thing is, what we doing right now, a lot of people, we put black, white.
Yes.
There's no such a thing. Everything is kind of gray area. It's up on you, on your beliefs, on your needs, on your goals, where you want to go with your relationships, with your health, and then this is not healthy. There's no such a thing.
No. But there is such a thing as safety.
Yes.
What is your body responding to that is actually benefiting it? Not just responding just because it feels good. No, is it actually benefiting your mind, your body, your spirituality? And so really understanding like, what are the things in your life that feel unsafe, that are creating that disconnection with your mind and body? But yeah, that's
a huge topic, and there's a lot of different angles to look at it. But I think that from our perspective, like the end note could be like, they're inseparable. They're
inseparable.
Yeah. We have to know the ways how to work on that, how to find that embodiment, how to find our needs, how to understand how to meet our needs, and let ourselves do that.
Yes. Like really learn to nurture yourself through your body. Like your body is going to be the answer for so many things. We're running out of time today, but one thing that I heard is like all of the problems lie in the body. And if you're looking anywhere else, if you're looking towards a friend, if you're looking towards a career, if you're looking towards food, like you're not going to find it.
Oh yeah, I love that.
The problem literally lies in the body. All right. That's it.
And that's it.